All right, so here's a project that we're working on for Hackleman Built, the Ink Visit project. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. It's quite a large project, and we're going to be doing some different details on it. All right, before we get started with any spray foam, caulk and seal, anything like this, the first thing we need to do is verify that the substrate is clean. So we're going to do the white rag test. I've got a white clean napkin, and I'm going to wipe it on the substrate. That's what we like to see. It's nice and clean. If there's heavy contaminants on the wall, then it needs to be cleaned. Most of the time you're going to have some loose contaminants that can be cleaned with a leaf blower, vacuum, a little bit more stuck on with a broom. But sometimes, especially on existing buildings that have been worked out of for a while, you may have heavier contaminants like stuck on dirt, grease, things like that. So in those situations that are extreme, you would need to pressure wash the substrate beforehand. But with new construction, most of the time, you're gonna have some light dust, and that's pretty easy to clean. But white rag test, and we are clean. Okay, so once we do the white rag test, make sure that we've got not a lot of contaminants on the substrate. Next thing we need to do is clean out the stud cavities. So as you can see here, there's a lot of wood shavings from electrical and plumbing. There's also trash, nails, staples, Dr. Pepper bottles, all this stuff. People, when they're working in there, it's just real easy for them to set things there. So we need to clean all of the trash out, all of the building materials, and then we'll go back with this leaf blower to blow out any of that wood shavings, to blow out the wood shavings. So we're going to do that here. And unless this stuff has gotten wet, most of the time it just blows right out with a leaf blower. Occasionally we'll have heavier contaminants that need to be hit with a broom, or in extreme circumstances with a pressure washer. But most of the time, new construction, leaf blower is going to do it for you. Okay, so here we have a few other tools. So another thing that we need to do before we do any spray foam is we need to verify the substrate temperature and make sure that it's within operating range of the product that we're using. So here, as you can see, the substrate temperature is 83 degrees. That's well within the range. The range is going to be stated in the technical data sheet per manufacturer of each product. So we'll put that up. It's just a temperature gun. Next, this is a moisture meter. So this is going to give us a moisture content percentage inside the substrate or the wood. So there's 2 pins on the end of this moisture meter, and you just touch that to your substrate, and that will give you a moisture reading. So on the high side, 18% is usually the cutoff there. There's different literature that has different numbers, but according to ASTM standards, 18% is the cutoff there. So we're well within the moisture range of the moisture content of the wood also. The last thing that we've got here is a hygrometer. So this is going to give us the temperature of the atmosphere, the ambient air temperature on site, also the relative humidity. Now the relative humidity here, you have to let it sit out for a while to catch up to what the environment's temperature and humidity level is. Right now it's giving you the temperature and humidity level of what was in that box. So usually these have to sit out for a while. Here we have another hygrometer, and it's been sitting out on this job site all day. So you can see from it, 73% humidity on the top and 79 degrees on the bottom. So that's well within operating temperatures as well. So we like to have this on the job site just because it's real easy to reference and make sure. Okay, so once our substrate's ready, now we're ready for the caulk and seal. So we're going to caulk around this electrical outlet here, electrical receptacle. We're using a DAP PowerPoint 200. It's a siliconized caulk. We're going to go all the way around every crevice that we can get of this electrical receptacle. Exterior penetrations, that's what we're targeting here. Any gaps or cracks that we can get. Okay, now here we are caulking a PVC penetration. I believe this is a condensate drain for an HVAC system. Okay, the next thing is going to be windows. We'll do around windows and doors, and we just want a light, thin seal between where the house wrap is and the window. And then we're not going to fill this entire gap up. We have to leave some room because they'll go in there with the gypsum board or whatever they finish with. They may actually put a bench seat here, I'm not sure. But we just want a seal between the window and the weather stripping. Here we have a wire penetrating, so we're just going to put a little caulk around this wire just to make sure that there's no airflow going through this wire. Airflow, this is also rated for water. Now here we have can foam. This is closed cell foam in an aerosol can. We use this on bigger gaps and cracks, something that you can't really seal up with caulk. So here we have an example of a large gap that's probably 1 to 2 inches in width and about 10 inches in length. So this is going to take him just a second, but you'll see as he fills this up, he's got to adjust his can a little bit, but he'll fill this up with this can foam, and this has a much higher expansion rate. So the way that the can foam works, it's a little bit different than like a spray foam that we would use out of the machine. This one reacts with the moisture in the air. So once we apply this, we're going to give it a little bit of cure time, and then after it's cured, it will actually swell, increase in size as it reacts with the moisture in the air. Okay, so you can see how we filled up those large cracks, large gaps with this can foam. Also, here's some other bigger gaps that it just wouldn't be practical to seal with the caulk. So we're also going to use the can foam on these as well. We want to make sure that any penetration, anywhere you've got daylight coming into the building, is 100% filled and sealed. That way we, one, don't have spray foam coming outside the building, and two, we can protect the interior of the building from any moisture that may penetrate. So in this video, you can see a closer look after we've allowed that can foam to cure, and it's expanded even more. So now we're going to even do an extra step. After we've got it caulked and sealed and the gaps filled with the can foam and the PowerPoint 200 caulk, we're going to go over that with some 2-pound closed cell. So this is a little bit overkill, but there's no way we're going to have any air leaks, moisture leaks, anything through this. This is top of the top, cream of the crop right here. So after we've allowed that can foam to cure, now we're going back over that with this 2-pound density spray foam. Here we are back around the condensate drain. And depth-wise here, we're not trying to get to a specific depth. We are probably at a minimum of 1 inch depth, so that would be an R7 per that 1 inch. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen, that's how we do it. So there it is, that's the caulk and seal, that's the gaps and cracks filled, and that's making sure that our conditions, our substrate conditions, our temperature conditions, our moisture conditions, everything is well within the parameter of the product that we are applying.